Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be my final thoughts here on this first initial wave of Diablo 2 Resurrected. As a Diablo veteran who has spent a lot of time playing all of the Diablo games, I'm going to give you my perspective on the launch of Resurrected and how I feel about it now that I played long enough to get to level 70, get to the end game. I grinded it super hard for that first week that it was out. I'll go over the things that I liked, the things that I didn't like, and then just kind of give you the context here on my feelings about Diablo 2 Resurrected in general. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so first up, let's go ahead and dive into the good things, the things that I believe were done very well here in the release of Diablo 2 Resurrected. And first, I'm going to go over the aesthetics, the general vibe, how the game feels, and the update of how it looks. That's a home run, probably a 9.8 out of 10. I absolutely love how it looks. They couldn't have done much better in my opinion. There's some random abilities and things like bone spear for the necro doesn't look super good in my opinion, and there's some random items here and there like glove set pieces and stuff that don't look like they look kind of weird compared to what you would think they would look in a remastered version. But 99% of the stuff is absolutely incredible, and you can actually see the difference. So if I push the G key, it's gonna swap me to the old graphics, and look at this. I mean, Diablo 2 looks okay for its time, but oh my goodness, look at that when you update it. Like, just an absolute home run on the aesthetics and the feel of staying true to the original, but making it look so much better. And what really stood out to me is the fire. Like, look how good that looks for Diablo 2 compared. I mean, it's got like the little smolders coming out with the smoke looks perfect. The flame, I mean, you compare that to what it used to look like. Look at that. I'm blown away by how good they did with the aesthetics, and especially the fire. That is something I always notice. Like in the River of Flame, you're like, whoa, look at this. Which I guess I might as well just go there and show you. I mean, I did play through the game, so here is the River of Flame. You take the waypoint, look at this lava, and the aesthetic of what the River of Flame looks like as you're playing through it. Just absolutely incredible. You compare that to the old version, and look at this. Compared to that. Yeah, so the flames and the fire and the smoke and all that is something that definitely stood out to me. And like I said, in general, an absolutely amazing job here with the aesthetics. Another thing that I want to put in the positive section is the updating of the cinematics. This is not something that's easy, and it's not something that's cheap. They did an amazing job on taking the time and the effort and spending the money to go ahead and update these cinematics, and they did an amazing job on them. Look how good this looks compared to the cinematics from 20-something years ago back in the day. Absolutely incredible to have the remastered version right out the gate, have amazing cinematics that are updated to look more modern, and they did a great job on these as well. They also really made sure to make a concerted effort to stay very true and respectful to the original game. Oh, and I just noticed this huge fire pit over here. Yeah, look how great that looks. Sorry, I kind of noticed that live. I was like, oh, they got this massive fire over here. That's a great opportunity to show you how amazing the fire looks. But yeah, they did a great job of staying true to the original. They didn't really change the classes or the gameplay or how the game functions, other than some quality of life things like more stash space and stuff. But I know a lot of the purists out there for Diablo 2 are going to really love the fact that this is mostly just an updated graphical coat of paint, but it stayed very true to the original game and the core concept of Diablo 2. But now I want to move on to some of the things that I think are in the negative category or could have been done a little bit better. First up, I'm going to talk about the price point. The price point of $40 is really rough for a remastered version. I think a lot of that was probably due to the fact that they had to remaster, or not had to, but they wanted to remaster the cinematics. I think if they didn't remaster the cinematics, it may have been $30, $35. That's gotta be a massive production cost and a lot of time and effort to do those cinematics. So I think that was probably a big chunk of the reason that we had to up the price here to $40. But it is worth mentioning that $40 is a lot for a remaster. But hey, obviously the game had a super high demand, and that's kind of how the market works in a free economy. You know, if there's a demand at a certain price, it's going to make sense for the company to charge that price. So the price point was a little bit high at $40, unfortunately, but I get it. Next up is the fact that the launch was so bad. Unfortunately, this is becoming kind of a thing in the gaming industry. Is on launch day, don't even bother. Just assume that launch day is actually the next day or even the day after that, because if you start taking off work and lining up groups of friends to play on opening launch for a game coming out, 9 times out of 10, you're just going to be sitting there lagging or getting booted, or your game's going to be crashing, or you're going to be sitting there queuing, not even being able to get into the game. We saw this even with the most recent big release in Amazon's New World, and even with Amazon's massive budget, they were still running into issues. So unfortunately, this is kind of becoming the norm, but I want to make sure and talk about it as the negative, because the launch day, there was so many problems going on in the game. They were having to shut it down and do hot fixes, and I credit them for working on it pretty fast, and they did get it stopped and fixed within a couple days, and it was running mostly smoothly. But it is worth noting the launch did not go very smooth. Another thing that was kind of a bummer for me was that there is no ladder. If I'm really going to go hard in the paint and get a friends group together and grind the game and do all these boss runs, it'd be fun to have a ladder coinciding with that. But there is not one. You can see here, once I got to the end game, I gave away a lot of my stuff. My character's not even wearing things anymore. I gave away lots of stuff to friends and on JSP and stuff like that. So I will probably really try and give the game another go when there is a ladder, and see what I can do participating in a ladder for old time's sake, and really go crazy on Diablo 2 for a little bit. But that was kind of a bummer that there wasn't a Diablo 2 ladder out the gate, but I do believe they have confirmed that it is coming. Now, admittedly, these last couple negative things I'm going to talk about are going to be massively controversial, because the Diablo 2 veterans and the super purists really don't want their game changed, and I get that. I respect that. I really do. You want to stay true to the original, because the original was such a revolutionary and great game that I totally get the perspective of not wanting to change things, and if you do change things, to be very careful about it. But all I can do is give you my opinion personally. I would have liked to see just some things like balance changes, like 75% of the player base playing sorceress when a ladder is new or when the game is new is just really lame, in my opinion. I'm not even talking about nerf the sorceress, leave the sorceress powerful, but kind of bring up some other options that would maybe get sorceress is so powerful because the ability to teleport at level 18, so no other class can zoom around the map like she can, and on top of that, she cranks out elemental damage. So it's just those two things stacking on top of each other make the sorceress insane out the gate when the game is released or during a new ladder season and all that type of stuff for clearing content and getting your account up and rolling. So maybe give other balance some skills to help other people compete with sorceress, or maybe have their movement speed get significantly buffed after they cast a certain ability, which can help them kind of zoom around the map, and then maybe not as fast as a sorceress, but in a similar manner, or at least a little bit better, at least shorten that gap. Just things like that. Some of the skills in the game that are completely worthless and no one would ever use, that are completely trash can F tier, maybe update those a little bit and balance the game out a little bit. I would have liked to see some minor balance changes to not necessarily nerfing things, but buffing other things to kind of bring more options to players. And then I know for some people, it may be a turnoff that there's really nothing new. There's a massive lack of new things in the game. Again, that's going to be controversial as well. Some people are like, hey, no, that's good. I want nothing new. Keep my game the same it is. But for me personally, my perspective is I would have liked maybe some new rune words, or just some new elements to the game for players to explore. But like I said, I know it's going to be controversial. A lot of people don't want that. But my perspective, I would have liked at least some things that are new to explore in the game. And then lastly, I would say probably the lack of RPG modernizations, like the fact that there's no move, like force move key is a massive downer. You've in 2021 in an RPG, you've got to have a force move key. It's just standard in the industry, and Blizzard should have definitely been able to add a force move key, like down here on the left click, at least be able to change something to force move, like some option for players to have a force move is just an RPG staple that should absolutely be in the game, and things like that. They could do stash tabs, and this is something that is just quality of life that doesn't make the game like pay to win or anything. They could have had stash tabs that are like for a special stash tab for gems that sorts them for you, all the different rarities and all the different gems, and makes that sorts them neatly for you. Same with runes. They could have had a rune stash tab where it stacks them, sorts them by quality from easiest to acquire to toughest to acquire, and they could have really modernized the game to give it a more updated feel to what the industry standard is for RPGs now, and it would have been very easy to pull off, and it wouldn't have really changed the core of the game or really ruined anything. So it would have been nice to see some of those modernizations. So now in conclusion here, over there on the right side of the screen is the reception of the game from the different rating systems like IGN, Metacritic, and that type of stuff. So I'll talk about my perspective compared to these ratings, and you can see the average is probably about 7.5 out of 10, 7 or 8, 7.5 to 8. I think that's about right. I would probably give it an 8 out of 10, given the price point of $40 being pretty high, and aesthetically how amazing it is. But like missing a few of the modernizations. I mean, you've watched the video by now. You saw my good and bad. I don't have to rehash everything, but yeah, I would probably go 8 out of 10 as well. And it's got potential to get to a 9.5 out of 10. I think it is one of the better. It gives me hope that remasters could actually be a successful thing. Obviously, we've seen most of them end up being pretty bad and don't go super well. Warcraft 3 remaster, I'm looking at you. That was an absolute travesty that Blizzard did with the Warcraft 3 remaster in so many different ways. But yeah, this was probably the best remaster that I've personally played amongst all the ones I've done. So it is nice that we finally got one pulled off pretty well, and I think 8 out of 10 is a pretty fair rating that I would probably give myself as well. So that is going to do it for me on this one. Would love to hear your thoughts down below. If you played Diablo 2, or if just kind of seeing the things that I talked about, how you feel, where you agree, where you disagree. I do enjoy reading your feedback as well. And hopefully Blizzard continues to kind of nurture the Diablo 2 remaster, because it's a game that a lot of gamers are going to want in their repertoire, being something they own for sure. So I hope they continue to kind of work on it loosely here and there, and keep it up to date, because it's a fun game to dive in either solo or with some friends and play through every now and then. So I'm glad they did it, and I hope they keep up the work on it here a little bit. So that'll do it for me on this one. As always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.